Hello, my name is Paul Martinelli, and I'm the president of the John Maxwell team, and I am honored to be here with John Maxwell and Les Brown. These two gentlemen, without question, are the top speakers in the world and have had such an incredible journey over the last 40 years, and they've made a significant impact on my life. Guys, I think this is the first time you two have ever really worked together in 40 years.
That's true. Yeah. And we're only 41. So right.
Well, what took you so long? I'm going to tell you what. I'm so excited that you two have put together this 3-part video series, Behind the Stage: the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, the good is some of the successes and triumphs that Les and John have had. The bad, some of those misses, the sacrifices, the failures that you've had to experience over the 40 years. John, it is 40 years. And then some of the ugly, meaning that we want to hear some of the funniest moments too. So let's go ahead and we're going to start with the good. We'll start with the good. And it's okay here. This is an opportunity for you to go ahead and blow your own horn. Tell us some of the successes. Tell us some of the things that have really made big impacts in your life and what it's been like to be of the life of a speaker. John, why don't you go to share first?
First of all, when I think of the good, Paul, I think, well, let Les do that. He's got a lot of good stories, but when you get down to ugly, I major in ugly, all right? I really do. Let me just say this. The good all starts not by what I ever did or whatever I ever accomplished. The good starts when I heard my friend Zig say in 1974, if you'll help other people get what they want, they'll help you get what you want. That changed my life. Because up until that time, I thought as a speaker, communicator, it was my goal to get them to where I was and to get on my train and to buy into my vision. And it just changed every part of my approach to how I communicated with people. And if I've had any honors or blessings, I can tell you it's because I really didn't try to put, I don't want to sound overly humble, but I didn't try to put myself first, and I didn't try to put my agenda first. I tried to put the people's agenda first. And that changed my life. And I've been privileged to do a lot of things. And maybe the greatest honor was a couple of years ago when I did the opening session at the United Nations. And to speak to the ambassadors. And I have a nonprofit organization, as you know, Equip, that's at 175 countries, training leaders. And to be able that day to communicate to them about being people and leaders of trust. And speaking for an hour and a half and then receiving a standing ovation from them was really a highlight for me. But I thought, again, even that day in the audience that I had, I would have never been there unless I would have heard Zig teach me and I would have listened and changed and put other people first. So all the good stuff, the places I've been, all the awards, all that stuff, it's all because I understood how to put people first when I communicated. And people, when you speak to them, Les, you know this, they can tell if you're for them or if you're for yourself.
Yes.
They can tell what your agenda is within the first 5 minutes.
Les, why don't you share some of the good times?
The good time for me, I was thinking, I listened to Zig and Earl Nightingale. Those are mantras. The voices of their voices in my head, and they just helped to overcome a tremendous inferiority complex that I had, because I was labeled educable mentally retarded and put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade. And failed in the 8th grade and I have no college training. But I had this high school teacher who said, someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. But there's something that Earl Nightingale said. He said, all of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it.
I love that one.
And so that stuck with me. And I've had some great experiences. I remember speaking in the Georgia Dome for Dexter Yeager.
Oh, yes.
And did a speech called It's Not Over Till I Win for 80,000 people. And to have that experience and being at that large venue, that was very inspiring. And also I produced like 8 specials for public television. And these are things that I never thought would happen. Just focusing on helping people to change their lives and helping them to live beyond the labels that had been placed on them. That, to me, has been extremely rewarding, being able to touch and transform lives.
Well, I can tell you, I can remember when I first saw you, it was in Knoxville. It was at an Amway convention. And I had muscled my way down towards the front, and I remember you saying, you got to be hungry. You were giving that talk. And I said, I want to do what he's doing. Yeah. And I hid that for 18 years. And then I remember when I first saw you, and I'll never forget, it was in West Palm Beach. We were actually Delray Beach in a Marriott at the ocean. It was the first time I saw you speak. I had heard about you, I read your books, and you said to me, you said to me, there was hundreds in the audience.
I said it to you.
But it was to me.
I sure did.
You said to me that the two most important days in your life is the day you were born, the day you knew why.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I really got serious about defining my purpose. And I would imagine when you speak about the successes and the good times you've had, it's a small representation of the people who you've touched. When you're speaking to the leaders at the UN or the 80,000 lives that you touch, there's children and wives and spouses and grandchildren whose lives you've changed beyond just the people in the audience. Yes. What an awesome.
That's true. Well, you're never just speaking to the people you're speaking to. You're speaking to the people that all those people influence. So I always tell people, whatever your audience number, multiply it by 10. And you've got probably an understanding of who you're really talking to within the next 3 to 4 days. It does multiply.
Right. Yes. Well, you know, there's aspiring communicators who are watching this video, and there's speakers out there who really want to make an impact, who want to have the life that you've created, and they're not quite at your level. Will you share what were some of the things that maybe you did or that maybe they can do now? If they're aspiring, maybe they're struggling to get to the level where you're at. What would be the 1 or 2 things of word of encouragement or piece of advice? Maybe it's, practice, practice, practice. Maybe it's continue to speak. I remember, Les, when you and I had an opportunity to speak several times, even when on days when we weren't scheduled to speak, you would go speak at a prison because you said speakers speak, and I'll never forget that. So for those who are aspiring, what would you say to give them a word of encouragement to keep going, John? Or
well, I would say be yourself. Be yourself. Sitting on the stool reminds me of that because it took me several years to understand that if I communicated on a stool conversationally, that I was more effective than if I stood. Now, I don't think that's true for you. I don't think that's true for you, but that's true for me. And then I say, once you get comfortable in your own skin, and it took me a long time. I don't know if it did you, Les, but it took me a long time to do that. I wasn't naturally comfortable in my skin when I spoke in the beginning. But once you become comfortable in who you are, in your own skin, then be the best self that you can be. And that comes to the practicing and watch the other great communicators and learn from them. But you can't really be the best that you can be until you figure out who you are. So it starts with, I got to know me before I can build me and develop me.
And everything he said, he got out of my pocket.
That's exactly
I wrote the notes down.
Absolutely.
He stole your line.
That's the one who goes first.
Yes.
That's the way it always is, buddy. And I want to thank you.
I know.
Well, I know.
Some of my best thinking has been done by others, including you, and including you, Paul. Some of my best thinking has been done by.
Well, I know you've trained thousands of speakers.
Yes.
You have a program that teaches that. What would you say? What would you say?
I'll say to them exactly what John just said. Be yourself. I'm the only speaker. I'm 69. I don't look it. I don't dye my hair because I have an allergic reaction to dye. But I use mascara to cover the gray. I do this all the time, on stage.
I need a little,
No, you need a paintbrush.
Mascara is a little small.
That's right.
I need a kind of a broad and probably a paper size.
But when I take my mascara out and put it on, people just say, oh my God. Yeah. But you've got to be comfortable in your skin in order to do that. And so when you are speaking from your heart, when you're being authentic, and the other thing that's key for new speakers, I say to you, don't let what you want to say get in the way of what the audience needs to hear. And all that get understanding. So find out what it is that they're looking for and how you can craft a message to create an experience so that when they leave your presence, a lot of speakers never make it because they have speeches that are content driven. If information could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy. So you want to create an experience. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, concept or experience, it could never be satisfied to going back to where it was.
That's very, very true. And you know, once you, Les, are comfortable with you, the people can be comfortable with you.
Yes.
The audience can never be comfortable with the speaker until the speaker's comfortable with himself or herself.
Yeah.
And you're so right on as far as connecting with the people and finding out where they are. I've always said that professional speakers, they're content driven. They're going out and saying, okay, I hope I do well. I hope they like what I say. I hope they really like me. Yeah. Great communicators. They're going out and saying, I like you.
Yes.
I like what you want to hear. And it's a total different world. And again, Les, you know it. You know it, Paul. That audience in 5 minutes figures it out.
Yeah.
They figure out if you're wanting to help them or if you're wanting to help yourself. And there's a world of difference between those two.
Well, I know you both are continual learners. I know that. I know that you read and file every day. You memorize quotes all the time. And that has to be part of the game too. I would imagine sharpening the saw.
Oh, absolutely. You cannot give what you do not have. Yeah. So, hey, fill it up, baby.
That's right. That's right.
Fill it up before you let it flow. Don't go out there with an empty tank.
No.
Again, how long does that take for somebody to know you got an empty tank? About 2 minutes.
Absolutely.
Or your second speech.
You know you're in trouble when the best part of your day was your introduction. When everybody says, boy, that was the highlight. Man, after they introduced him, it didn't go anywhere. It didn't get any better. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that true?
Yes, absolutely. It really is true. Yeah, it is. When you look at what we do, it's a gift. And because it's a gift, there's nothing to be arrogant about. That implies a giver. And we are vessels that are being used to help people to get a larger vision of themselves beyond their circumstances and mental conditioning. And people come to us and say, hey, you've changed my life. And what I say to myself, and I'm sure you do, is thank you, Lord, for using me today to speak to them, because it's never us. We are just being used at that moment.
Les, you know, in fact, Fred Smith told me this many years ago, the gift is greater than the person.
Yes.
And so many times when somebody watches a good communicator, they get carried away with how good they are. And they begin to think, well, that person's that great. And I always want to stop. I want to stop saying, no, I'm very human. I just blow it like you blow it and make a lot of mistakes. Mm-hmm. The gift is what's awesome.
Yes.
And don't get the two of them confused at all. And I know this, when I remember that, then I'm always grateful.
Well, thank you both. And I can't believe it's been 40 years for you two to be doing this.
Yes.
I hope you've enjoyed.
You were only 25 when we started, weren't you?
I wasn't even born when you.
I knew, Les.
I wasn't even born.
He said this 4 times in about 40 years. I knew where he was going with this. He wanted to make sure he wants to make sure you know that he's a lot younger than Les. But just look at it. Look at the three of us.
Yes.
Don't we look like triplets? I don't know. We're either the Three Musketeers or the Three Stooges.
One of them.
When we get to the ugly, it's going to be the Three Stooges.
It will be the Three Stooges for sure.
We're the Three Musketeers now. We're looking good.
Well, it's all good. It's all about the good. And I hope you've enjoyed this part of the good, being a public speaker. And this is just the first video of a 3-part teaching series, Behind the Stage, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we hope that you did too, and we hope that you will leave us a comment and share this video with your friends, your families, your colleagues. Then get ready, because just in 2 days, you're going to receive video number 2 in this series, where John Maxwell and Les Brown will share the bad experiences of being a public speaker. Stay tuned.